Hey, I hope you guys are doing well. In this video, we're briefly going to go over both Tesla and Nio, looking at their more recent trading activity to kind of get a gauge of where we could see them going as we close out this week and move into the next. Now, there's been a lot of movement in the EV market, not just these two stocks, but specifically with Tesla and Nio. They have been putting out record delivery numbers, and if you follow Elon Musk on Twitter, those shorts sold like hotcakes as those shorts continue to get burned on the great success that Tesla is having in the market. So with that, let's go ahead and dive on in here on Tesla. This is going to be ticker symbol TSLA. And I'm starting off here. We'll actually kick it out just a little bit further. I want to go to the weekly chart so you can kind of get an idea of what Tesla's been doing, right? Okay, so it had this pretty consistent downward trend. This was in the early stages of 2019. By this summer, we saw a massive rip all the way up to $1,000 or about $1,000 before seeing that March pullback. From there, we have just bounced off of a trampoline and are heading into the stratosphere here with Tesla, as just a couple days ago we hit an all-time high at $1,429. Now, if we move this in towards the hourly chart on Tesla, this is where we're really going to start to see some pertinent levels for Tesla's current trading. So as we move this in, you can see that we had a pretty strong resistance right around $1,000. You can see it had a little bit of a budge in the lower 1,000. So we'll call it $1,000 or $1,020 as being a pretty important resistance level as we were moving through the past couple of weeks. Now, ever since we pushed through that level, you can see that we had a bit of a stair-stepping pattern. So pre-market, we would make a tremendous move to the upside, and then we would sit pretty much flat throughout the remainder of the day, barring some sort of move in the early trading session as the market was open. And so this is the stair-stepping pattern that I'm talking about here, and you can see it on the chart. And this is up until Monday of this week. On Monday, we had a surge pre-market that carried through to the open, and it pushed all the way through after hours and set us to our all-time high right up in here. From there on Tuesday, we sat relatively flat, had some pretty big movements throughout the day, but pretty much closed flat, just a few percent up. And then today, you can see that we started to see some sellers that stepped in. And if we move this in here towards a 5-day, 5-minute, so we can get a better view of that trading, you can see what it is that I'm referring to. So here was Monday's big run up. Then here on Tuesday, we are trading in this zone here, and we kind of pinched it throughout the day. This is kind of what I was looking at. And then today, we remained flat right in there around $1,400. So you can go ahead and put in a resistance level there. And then eventually, we saw sellers just jump into the market, and we're selling their shares all the way down here pretty rapidly into the low 1,300. So we'll throw a support right in there. And when we move to Nio, we will see this same thing. And then we closed out the day with a pretty strong bounce, sending us all the way from about $1,315 all the way up to our close around $1,365. So a nice $50 move there. But you can kind of see that over these past couple of days, or really just yesterday on Tuesday, we had a bit of a support right in here. And as we tried to move in towards that as we went into the close today, we kind of failed, and we just kind of stayed flat, and then after hours we started to sell downward. So in my opinion, on both Tesla and Nio, I do think that there could be some downside risk here, as just from how the chart has played out. We saw a big run up on Monday, stayed relatively flat on Tuesday. And then here on Wednesday, we saw some selling and we were not able to recover. So this kind of tells me that we've reached a high point in the current trading and that we are looking to pull back down, maybe catch a breath a little bit. People are wanting to take some profits off of the table and then maybe re-enter at a little bit more suitable price level. And, as we come down, that is where we are going to see those support levels. So right in here, we can see pre-market on Monday, we had a bit of a resistance right in here in the upper 1200, so right around $1,280 a share. If we break down below there, the ideal level that I am looking at is going to be down here in the low 1200s. So we'll call that $1,215. And now that is about 10% from where we currently sit. So to me, the risk reward to the downside, my target being a 10% move to the downside in the lower 1200s, to a potential to see a good chunk of resistance, in my opinion, up here at around $1,400, which is only a few percentage points to the upside. That is why I am staying out of this trade for now. I don't necessarily want to try and go and short Tesla. But I do think that the momentum as of current is fading. That's not to say that it will come back in due time, but for now, I do think that this needs to take a breather, come down to about $1,200 a share, consolidate before maybe making a push higher. Now, if we were to break down through 1200, again, these stair steps provide nice markings for support and resistance levels. At that point, I would be looking down here towards the lower 1100s. Now, I don't know if we will actually head down that much. That would be a pretty substantial move, and I think that would take a couple of weeks to get there, unless we start to see the market as a whole begin to deteriorate. I think at that point we could see Tesla quickly move down here towards these lower 1100s. And then from there, that big support around $1,000. That would be the big one that I really want to see hold for a more long-term trend. So if we were to move down there, that would be about a 25% decline. So just kind of keep those levels in mind. If you're wanting to make a quick day trade on Tesla, you see a good setup on the intraday. That's not necessarily what I was looking at when I'm going through these support and resistance levels. This is more of a multi-day, but you could probably swing this thing if you're willing to put on that risk. But nonetheless, I do see some more downside to Tesla, more so than the upside. But if this chart starts to show us making higher lows, then we could go up here and break through that 1400 and then go back on to test about 1430. From there, I think the next big resistance level is going to be that big $1,500 price point, and we could quickly move up to there. If, say, a lot of shorts got in here, and then as we start to move back up, they rapidly have to cover, sending the price all the way up towards 1,500. Now, if we move into Nio, one that has just been continuing to rip as well, we have roughly the same story. So here on Nio, this is the weekly, which, kind of gives you a good depiction as well as what it has been doing. So over the past couple of weeks, dating back to early June, we have started to see this breakout from about $4 a share, and today we went all the way up to $15 a share and some change. So this weekly really shows you that rapid acceleration to the upside, but I think that it is a bit overextended for what Nio is really worth. So Tesla is delivering a lot more vehicles. They have been around for a bit longer. Their market cap is much bigger. I think their consumer market is also much bigger in comparison to Nio. Now you can say, well, Tesla is also trading at $1,300, $1,400 a share. Nio is down here at $12. I think it has a lot of potential. And while, yes, that is true, with anything, if it sees a massive run up, and in this case, we have gone up about threefold in just about a month's time, you're going to see people taking profits. And I think today we got to a point where it was just an overflow of buyers stepping in, sending this thing over $15 a share, which was a bit irrational for this stock in its current state. That's not to say that in due time we do head above this high that we set today. But I think, again, similar to Tesla, we might need to pull back down, take a breather before gaining some new momentum and heading back and making new highs. So now if we move in again to the more recent trading, we are moving in here towards the 5-day, 5-minute. You can, again, start to see a pattern that was forming. So here last Friday, we saw the initial break of about $8 a share. From there on Monday, we cracked even higher. We had a bit of a sell off to the downside on Monday, but saw a strong bounce off of those off the open price at around $11.10 a share, and then we rallied into the close. Now on Tuesday, we were met with a lot of sellers pre-market as we were hitting that $12 high. Came all the way down pre-market, bounced once again off around $11.10, and you can kind of see how it played out. Right as we opened, we saw a ton of buyers stepping in, pushing this thing all the way from 11 up here towards about $13.80. And if you go and you look at the long-term chart, that was the previous all-time high. I think we missed it by about 3 pennies. We hit $13.77, and then we traded back down. And then today is where we kind of, in my mind, saw the blow-off top. So pre-market, again, we saw this surge, pushed above 1380, and then we sat on it right until the open. And you can see right in here, we saw an influx of buyers right at the open, sending this thing to $15 a share. Tapped it once, pulled back, tapped it again, and then we sold down. And we're making lower highs at this point. And eventually, we quickly led to a sell-off. And you can actually see as the volume grows here, on a daily chart, you can actually see that as well. And my guess is tomorrow we are going to have less volume than we have seen in the past couple of days as this does begin to trend downward. So I'm going to go ahead and send it back to that 5-minute chart and just pick out a few key levels. So obviously $15 is going to be a strong resistance. From there, I think the 1380 or 1375 level is going to be a tough resistance to get through. And it even showed today that right in here around 1320 is also going to be a bit of a resistance that we need to get through. You can see we actually pushed up towards it today, and we cracked above it, making it all the way up here towards about 1335, 1340, but then we sold back down and closed below 13. Since then, we pushed up a little bit, but really I want to see what we do in pre-market tomorrow to get a good gauge of where this thing is going. Now, if we do break down here below 13, my next level is going to be 12, which is where we bounced off today. You can also see that that was a high on Monday, both in the morning hours and after hours. From there, below that would be $11 a share, and then down here towards $10 a share. And you can kind of see these are dollar increments, and these are going to be bigger levels. I don't think we are quickly going to move from one to the next. It's going to be more of a up and down, ebb and flow kind of situation. But again, this is just my opinion. If we do continue to see some buyers step in here on Thursday and Friday, trying to send this thing to a new all-time high, again, keep in mind that those resistance levels are there at 1380 and then up here around $15 a share. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy the video and you want to leave a like, please do, or leave a comment on your opinion on either one of the stocks. I would love to read it. So with that, I will catch you guys in the next one.